there, and welcome to the Hope It Helps podcast, where we, together, find the calm amidst the chaos. Derek Evans here, your host, and today we're going to talk about how the law of least effort really works. The law of least effort is something that I first learned from Deepak Chopra in his best-selling book, The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. This book is an absolute must-read if you are going down any kind of spiritual path, even if you aren't. In this book, Deepak talks about the law of least effort as being, quote, the principle of least action, of no resistance. He goes on to explain that this law is a way for human experience to mirror that of nature's experience. Of course, nature's experience is effortless and extremely efficient. And so that's the idea. That's the general concept, is that if we pay attention to nature, we see that everything happens effortlessly and efficiently. And we are part of nature, and we can do the exact same thing. In fact, he writes in the book, quote, grass doesn't try to grow, it just grows. Fish don't try to swim, they just swim. Flowers don't try to bloom, they just bloom. Now let me be clear, I'm not attacking this law or this explanation. I believe in this law, now more than I ever have. But I think my personal experience has provided a little bit more clear of an explanation as to why this law ultimately works and how it ultimately works. So the law is the law of least effort, as interpreted by most people. When we first hear the law of least effort, it sounds like we should all become bums and everything will fall into our lap, or it sounds like it's some sort of scheme to figure out how to not have to do anything but still get something out of it. It kind of has a negative connotation to it, but of course that's not how this works at all. So let's consider these two schools of thought, and we'll use both extremes. Of course, there's an infinite amount of possibilities in between, but let's use both extremes. The law of least effort versus the idea of hard work pays off. There's only two questions that we should consider, in my opinion. Which one will generate the better life result in the end? And which one will generate the better life experience along the way? So what does the journey look like? What does the result look like? Well, realistically speaking, we have no idea what the result will look like. There is some randomness there, I think, in people who go down one path may have what appears to be a great life result. People who go down the other path may not have what appears to be a good life result, but to them it is. So I think it's too subjective to say that, which one is going to end up with the best result. But the experience, I think we can look at a little more carefully. As we look at the idea of hard work pays off, this is what we've been taught for years. From the moment we were born, we were taught this. If we want to be successful, we have to outwork everyone. If we put our mind to it, then we can achieve anything we want. If we're willing to do more than the other guy, then we'll be better than him. This all sort of implies a laser-like focus, a drive towards something specific, almost an insanity. It almost describes in the expectations for some form of insanity to obsess over something. Now, for many successful people, though, this was their path. This is their story. They achieve success through hard work. And the funny thing is, I myself am one of those people. But here's the problem. Hard work is hard. It's hard on your body. It's hard on your mind. And it's hard on your soul. Working too many hours, obsessing over everything, eating poorly, not sleeping enough. These are the things that happen to people who subscribe to the idea of hard work pays off. And it's understood. The sacrifice, we think it's worth it. We go through life not living at all because we're so dedicated to something. So we're going through life, we're not living, and we believe that it's worth it. But what we think is at the other end of that hard work isn't what is really at the other end of that hard work. Not to mention this doesn't make for a very exciting or healthy journey through life. We're always looking over our shoulders, second guessing every moment we spend that isn't devoted to outworking our competition. I've lived that. I've lived that myself. This is an existence in fear. That's all it is. There's no faith in this concept. What about actually living life? One of the things I tell people all the time, when you get to the end of the day, if you haven't enjoyed life, if you haven't felt like you really did something creative and something you wanted to do, what's the point? To me, our dharma is to fulfill our creative purpose in life, and we've got to do it every day. And if we don't do it every day, we won't feel fulfilled. And if we don't feel fulfilled, then a lot of bad things can trickle down from that. So the law of least effort, which is totally foreign to most of us, even though it's ingrained into our being, our cells, our body, and every living thing that we see on a daily basis, including trees, cats, dogs, you name it, we're literally the only living things that try to force our agenda, that try to control the outcomes of our everyday lives. However, if we subscribe to the law of least effort, then we're going to be taking a much more subtle approach. We're going to generate an intention, which we're going to think about. We're going to think about our goal, our ultimate goal. We're going to derive that. We're going to decide consciously that that's what we want. We're even going to tell other people about it. Anytime it's relevant to speak about this, definitely not a secret. But what's different is we're not going to specifically seek out the fulfillment of this goal. We aren't going to try to force it. We're going to just instead let it naturally fulfill itself. In doing so, we allow ourselves the opportunity to be more present and therefore more conscious to our surroundings, our interactions, and our relationships. It's within our surroundings. It's within our interaction with others. It's within the relationships that we already have where we will find everything we need to fulfill our goals. We just have to pay attention to it. So, for the why and how the law of least effort really works, this is it. This expansion of consciousness allows us to see all the great opportunities that are delivered by the universe on a regular basis. They're coming one after the other. But if we're stuck in our own world with a one-track mind focused on our own personal success, we'll miss it completely. Of course, it's these very specific gifts the universe gives that will ultimately allow us to not only fulfill our desires and goals, but to do so with ease, in a natural way, much more natural than the idea of hard work pays off. It took me a long time to finally submit to this concept. I've been a hard work pays off guy for my entire life, especially my professional life. That's how I created all my success. So how could I walk away from something that's working, is what people would ask when I bring this up. They say, well, if you've done this and it's always worked, then why did you change directions? Why did you start going in this way? I know the questions will come. It's easy for me to answer because for me, it wasn't working. Maybe for you, it looked like it was working for me. Maybe when you see my post on Facebook, or maybe when you see what I've achieved, you say, oh, well, what he's doing is working for him. But for me, it wasn't working. I was miserable. Success by way of hard work takes a toll. It leaves this wake behind that is not pretty. So I created my intention. I followed the law of least effort. I made it known to any and everyone who asked. And then I just kept my normal routine. My normal routine of serving other people. Meeting with other people and serving other people. Since this time, since I decided to submit and surrender completely to the law of least effort, because I wasn't distracted with my own obsessions. I wasn't obsessed with negotiating every deal to the best of my ability. In fact, I've taken a completely different way of negotiating my services in negotiating everything. I ask the person across the table from me, what do you think is fair? I let them decide what it should look like. I don't try to I don't want to be taken advantage of. But what's been amazing is that because I have surrendered to that, people I think have given me better deals than I would have been able to negotiate. So, because I wasn't distracted with my own obsession, because I wasn't trying to force my way in, more came to me anyway. I now have this ability to be more conscious, to recognize these opportunities, to be more present with everyone I encounter, day in, day out. The biggest opportunities of my life have shown themselves in this short time. I can't explain how huge some of these things are. Is it a coincidence? That's always the question, right? Or is it the law of least effort, working just like it was drawn up on the drawing board thousands of years ago, as this law is an ancient Eastern wisdom tradition, goes back to the Vedic studies, Ayurveda, the Bhagavad Gita, all those things that are thousands of years old. This is where Deepak pulled this law of least effort from. This is where he made the translation. I don't know. Hard to believe that it's a coincidence. So my experience with the law of least effort has worked pretty simple. I have taken a step back. I have opened my range of vision. I have now been able to see that the universe is delivering everything and then some right in front of me. And I believe that it is doing this for everyone. But most of us aren't paying attention, and so we don't notice it. I think if we practice this law by announcing your intention, moving your actions in the right direction, and trusting that everything will work out as you hoped or better. Of course, the real deal sealer for me is that this way of living is so much better. We get to enjoy the ride a lot more, anyway, than the idea of hard work pays off. Happy meditating. I really hope that this helps. Namaste.